The dark side of billionaire private parties. Why would someone pay millions just to party where no one can see them, record them, or even talk about it afterward? That's not a party, that's a secret. A controlled world built to hide what's really happening inside. And here's the truth, billionaire private parties aren't just about expensive drinks, luxury yachts, or A-list guests. They can be full-blown power rituals, hidden agendas, and shady deals. The fun part is just the cover. What lies behind is often darker, stranger, and more dangerous than we'd like to believe. Stick around, because once we pull back that velvet curtain, there's no unseeing what's behind it. Behind the walls of marble mansions and floating palaces, something far more complicated unfolds. The drinks flow, the music blasts, the guests laugh, but under all that noise, there's a different kind of game happening. One that most people never get to see. The truth is, these aren't just social gatherings. They're labs of influence. They're experiments in loyalty. They're designed to test how far someone will go when nobody's watching. No phones allowed. No staff without NDAs. No questions asked. These aren't just luxury get-togethers. They're built to be secret zones where the usual rules of society are shut off. And if you think these spaces are just rich folks blowing off steam, think again. Many of these places are where the line between entertainment and exploitation gets completely erased. Once you're inside, it's not just about partying. It's about staying silent. Forever. And many of these events are thrown by the most well-known names in the world. Elon Musk has been known to throw exclusive private gatherings with hand-picked guests. Richard Branson's private island, Necker Island, has hosted gatherings that include world leaders, tech elites, and celebrities. Even Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, has shown up at secretive Silicon Valley parties with strict no-camera policies. They might look different on the outside, but what happens inside remains tightly sealed until someone breaks the silence. Everyone thinks it's just billionaires, movie stars, and fashion models. That's only part of it. The deeper you look, the more you realize that these events attract a different crowd. The kind of people who don't show up on Forbes lists, but who pull strings behind the curtain. Intelligence agents, tech moguls with government contracts, heirs of global industries, people who run entire sectors but you've never heard their names. And the hosts? People like Peter Thiel, known for his obsession with privacy and power, or David Geffen, whose lavish yacht parties often include influencers, CEOs, and rising stars who want in. There's also Ghislaine Maxwell, who alongside Jeffrey Epstein hosted countless private events attended by figures like Bill Clinton and even Prince Andrew, events that later came under investigation for far more than just luxury dinners. This isn't about fame, it's about control. And who better to control than those who already understand how to stay hidden? Some guests aren't there for fun. They're there for leverage, to collect it or to become it. And often, younger attendees, especially those without wealth or power, are brought in not as equals, but as tools. They're not seen as people. They're currency. And in a place where no one's watching, people become disposable. The drinks are just the beginning. If that's all there was, this wouldn't be a problem. But there's a reason people are told to check their phones at the door. There's a reason you can't take photos. What's happening isn't just about fun. It's about pushing boundaries, removing inhibitions, creating situations that no one would ever allow if they were thinking clearly. And the drugs? They're not casual. They're tools. At some events, stories have emerged of guests being drugged without knowing, just enough to blur the lines, to make them easier to manipulate. These aren't urban legends. They're whispers from insiders, former attendees, anonymous posts from ex-employees. And behind the scenes, names keep popping up. People like Dan Bilzerian, known for wild parties filled with models and mystery, have faced lawsuits and controversy over what really goes on at their events. Some guests walk into these events thinking they're just going to party. Hours later, they don't remember half of what happened. That's not by accident. That's by design. The goal isn't just fun. It's control. Because when someone wakes up confused, unsure, ashamed, they're easier to silence. And once a person has been broken down like that, they're easier to own. But this isn't just about ruining people. It's about what can be gained from their silence, or worse, their obedience. It doesn't take long for the vibe to shift. At first, it might feel like freedom. No rules, no judgment. But then it changes. The host starts to test people. They offer something wild just to see who says yes. They tell someone to do something risky just to see if they'll do it. And the moment someone agrees, that's when the real party begins. Now it's about power. Who controls who obeys who. It's not about fun anymore. It's about dominance. And some hosts don't just test people. They record them, secretly, quietly. Every embarrassing moment, every bad decision, it's all saved. Not for memories, but for leverage. Jeffrey Epstein's private gatherings were exactly that. Power traps. Those who attended, including some of the most powerful people in the world, were believed to be recorded. It's what allowed him to maintain his grip on people. Because information, when used right, is far more valuable than money. If you leave with a secret, they want to make sure they have one on you too. So no matter how big you are, no matter how famous or powerful, you're trapped. You're part of the silence now. When we think of money, we usually picture what it can buy. Mansions, private jets, designer clothes, rare experiences. But at these hidden parties, money buys something far more dangerous: silence, control, and loyalty. Billionaires don't spend just for pleasure. They spend to create a world where they make the rules, and everyone else plays along or gets cut out. Inside that world, attendees aren't always there for fun. Some are paid to show up. Some are paid to stay quiet. Others are paid to do things they'd never consider under normal circumstances. And then there are those who aren't paid at all. They're simply manipulated, pressured, or trapped. Promises are made, lines are crossed, and by the time someone realizes what happened, it's too late. Consent in these environments doesn't look like it should. It's not always a clear yes or no. It's blurred by drugs, alcohol, peer pressure, and power dynamics. And that's exactly how the hosts want it. They know how to spot weakness. They know how to push buttons. And they know how to make someone feel like they have no way out. At this level, money becomes a weapon. It buys silence after the fact. It buys protection from consequences. It buys people, not just their presence, but their decisions, their shame, their secrets. And behind closed doors, it leaves scars no one sees. The damage isn't just temporary. It can last a lifetime. A smile in a photo doesn't always mean someone was happy to be there. Just because someone agreed to attend doesn't mean they agreed to everything that happened. But in the world of private billionaire parties, that's the excuse. Until that changes, these private parties will keep happening. And behind every closed door, there will be someone who doesn't know what they're walking into. What happens behind those golden doors stays hidden for a reason. It's not just about luxury. It's about control, power, and silence. The world sees the glamour, but rarely questions the shadows. Maybe it's time we did.